On Thursday with 97 the high. We get a 30% chance of showers on Friday before we cool off a bit for the weekend with highs in the upper 80s. I'm Brian Leonard with your on point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Come on, hit it. Do it. You know you want to.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblum, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Here we go. Got a little cough going on. And jump in there real quick, Pat, and take over for a second while I clear my throat.
Yeah, of course. We have quite the exciting – turn your mic off here. We have Chris Bergen joining us as well from out in the PD area. We got a great show ahead. Leading off, Chris, I don't want to steal your thunder if you want to introduce who our first guest will be on the evening.
Well, I think this is, I hate to say coup, but I think it's a credit to, and I told Phil this earlier, so I'm not going to embarrass him, but I think it's a credit to what this program has meant over the years to the state. Monty Lee, actually, who has just been dispatched within the last couple of hours. If you have not heard, Clemson is making a change in its baseball coaching position, and Monty Lee is out. Monty will join us at the bottom of the hour at 6:30 to discuss his dismissal as head coach of the Tigers with still 2 years remaining on his contract. Graham Neff, the athletics director, making the decision this afternoon. And I think somewhat, at least, Phil, the last question, I vividly remember this, the last question we signed off with last night after spending most of the day chatting about the NCAA regionals was, would Monty Lee be back? Would Clemson make a change? And you point blank asked me, and I said, well, I hope not. And you said, all right, but will they? And I said, my gut told me no.
And I think I concur.
Can't trust my gut, evidently, because Clemson has made a move. And I guess 2 straight years without an NCAA regional appearance, too much for Graham Neff and the athletic administration of Clemson to bear.
Yeah, and I apologize for having to drop off for a second. They're still fighting the post-nasal drip portion of the head cold now. That's where we're at. So it will flare up from time to time. So bear with me. But you're right. I was a little bit surprised as well, though I've been hearing some things leading into the tournament. I just thought, weighing things from where we sit. Now, we're not insiders, don't claim to be insiders, but look at it from an outsider's perspective in that, they missed a tournament this year. Shouldn't happen at Clemson's 2 years in a row. That shouldn't happen at Clemson. Happened last time back in the mid-'80s. But there was an improvement when you look at the record. They went from 20-something wins last year to 35 until they blew up at the tournament. And they were right there on the bubble, inside the bubble, to be in the tournament. So they had 2 bad games. There you go, a tournament getting a team once again. What do you know? And not only that, I mean, look, I know fans don't want to hear this. And this doesn't win ball games, but I mean, you won't find a better person. You won't find a better gem of a baseball coach than Monty Lee. I mean, who doesn't, if you know him, who doesn't like Monty Lee? It sounds like a commercial, doesn't it? Who doesn't like Monty Lee?
Yeah.
That aside, I mean, he knows it. All these coaches know it. And look, I mean, he'll be well paid. He's got 2 years, $500,000 to be paid off to him in his contract. Is that $500,000 total or $500,000 per?
No, that's what I understood it to be. It'd be a total and around $500,000.
Yeah.
So not either just above $500,000 or below, but in that neighborhood of about $500,000.
So they're well compensated. I mean, they're not going to starve or anything like that. And he will, if he wants to, he'll be coaching somewhere next season. I would think somebody will scoop him up either for a head coaching job or a top assistant's job if he wants to do that. And he will join us at 6:35, which that alone should tell you about Monty Lee, the type of person he is. Stand-up guy and willing to, on one of the darkest days of his professional career, willing to come on the show and talk about his feelings. So it's a change at Clemson. You got a new AD, Graham Neff. Of course, he'd been around there for a little while. It's not like he didn't know Monty Lee. He'd been an assistant there for a few years, so they knew each other. But I guess in his vision, he does not see the program moving in the right direction. And it's his job to make Clemson baseball a championship level program. And if he thinks he needs to bring in somebody else to do so, then that's what he is empowered to do. And that is what he has done. And so the question becomes, who will be the next baseball coach at Clemson? Graham Neff came to Clemson from Georgia Tech. He'd also been at Middle Tennessee State, or maybe he came from Middle and he was at Georgia Tech. He and Radakovich were connected at Georgia Tech, and then he was at Middle Tennessee State. And I don't know there's anything there that you would look at when you think about a coaching tree and connections where he might, turn to there. It could be some other people in his background, and he might just open it up and see who applies and who's really interested. Would he go back and look at somebody connected to Jack Leggett from Jack Leggett's time? Would he make a big swing? I mean, a big swing at a Tim Corbin, let's say. Now, according to, I think it was Kendall Rogers who tweeted this today after the firing was announced. It might have been Aaron Fitt, one of those national baseball guys. They said, Clemson's a great baseball program, got the facilities, the support. It's in a real good location. But, excuse me, not far from that rich Atlanta area for baseball. But they need to pay more. Do you think they need to pay more?
I think you have to. If Monty Lee's contract and his buyout is just, and I say just, in the relative scheme of things in terms of college athletics, 2 years remaining on his contract at $500,000, and we believe that's total. That's really not a lot of money to pay for a top flight. And according to Graham Neff, he said in his press conference this afternoon, sort of an impromptu media gathering, that he believes Clemson is a top 15 job, period. I think we in this state believe Clemson is a really good job, but let's break it down to brass tacks, Phil. Is it a top 15 job? If you believe it's a top 15 job, you've got to go pay top 15 type money. And what is that? $1.5 million, $1 million, $900,000? Is it $2 million at this point in time? I mean, the bar keeps moving, I think, in college athletics, and to pay a baseball coach, especially if they're going to try and make a home run hire like that. And let's just use Tim Corbin, because I think that would be the natural first call if Kevin O'Sullivan is not. You're going to have to pay a lot of money to pry those two guys loose from where they are, which, in my opinion, they are coaching better jobs than Clemson's is right now. So if you're going to try and lure them away from a Vanderbilt where there are all kinds of advantages, not just on the field but elsewhere, or you're going to pull him away from Florida, you've got to go and dig deep in your pocketbook. And is Clemson willing to do that? I guess we'll find out.
Tell you another name to keep an eye on. And again, it just depends on how Neff feels about prior connections, or how the player, how the individual feels about Clemson. But Eric Bakich at Michigan, that name has come up before around these parts. I think his name was mentioned when South Carolina was open, maybe the last time that Clemson was open. But he's, of course, done a magnificent job at Michigan. He coached at Clemson with Jack Leggett, and he was there 2002. Then he went to Vanderbilt. I guess he went with Corbin to Vanderbilt, then became the head coach at Maryland, and then became the head coach at Michigan in 2013. And he's won almost 400 games in his coaching career. So that's just a name I'm throwing out there. There'll be a bunch of names that, of course, will be spitballed. We'll see what sticks and what doesn't stick. But we'll have Monty Lee at 6:35. And then at 7:05, another baseball coach with some things to get off his chest. Todd Interdonato, head baseball coach at Wofford, will join us.
Maybe he'd like the Clemson job because he's got a better opportunity, it appears, to make the NCAA regionals at Clemson than he does at Wofford. Maybe he'd be ready for a move.
The Wofford situation, or a Southern Conference coaching situation, from that standpoint, is very tough. If you don't win your conference tournament, they're only taking one team. And that makes it very, very tough. Out. But I think if anybody has a true gripe about not making the tournament, it would be Coach Interdonato and the Wofford Terriers. You agree?
Absolutely. If you listened to the program last night, I probably spent way too much time banging the drum for Wofford to get in. And hopefully we made some friends in Spartanburg. It doesn't matter one way or the other, but I think they got totally overlooked. And they should be in there. But again, as much as I'd like to be upset about the NCAA selection committee not bringing them in, it's as simple as their own league have stupidity to play a conference tournament and that gives the automatic bid to your tournament champion when you have a regular season champion who had done so much. And there's a big risk even going in. You knew there was a big risk that you might lose, and UNCG may acquit itself rather nicely in the tournament. I don't know. But I think Wofford would have done a better job representing the Southern Conference, much like I believe the College of Charleston would do a better job representing the Colonial had they not been bounced in their postseason.
Here's a little bit more on Monty Lee. So back-to-back seasons without making the tournament, of course. He just completed his 7th season. Tigers had a losing season last year, bounced back to win 35 games this year. He won the ACC Tournament Championship in his first season, and his teams hosted 4 NCAA regionals, but never made it past the regional round. He was 242 and 136 at Clemson, 102 and 86 in ACC play. Last 2 years, 60 and 50 and 29-36. So a definite downturn after COVID. And I mean, is COVID something you can point to that COVID season? They were doing well, very well in that COVID season until the season was killed, and they didn't recover. They never fully recovered from it.
Well, and I'm curious, too, from the standpoint if you're Graham Neff and you've made this decision. This did not occur, I don't think. I don't think he came back from the ACC tournament and started thinking, you know what, it might be time to make a change. I think this is probably at least something he has considered over the last couple of weeks. And I think the one thing that's probably going to hurt Monty, and we'll ask him if he believes if he could do anything differently, and I doubt it start 8-6 as opposed to 14-0. I mean, every coach wants to start undefeated. But he set the bar pretty high to begin the season, and then they just really sort of had a swan song and fell down the scale as the season moved along and played horribly at times in the ACC, and that ultimately, I think, probably cost him his job. But my guess is Graham Neff has been studying this over the last couple of weeks. So if you're going to make that decision today and announce that you've hired a guy who is widely popular, I would think, not just inside the Clemson family and across the state of South Carolina, but my guess is around the world of college baseball, you better have somebody in the pipeline that you know as soon as you call, they'll take the job. I don't think you cut bait with someone like Monty Lee and then start your search. My guess is Graham Neff probably has 1 or 2 people he feels pretty confident he can bring in who will take the job, and the question is who they are. The one thing I found fascinating, Phil, on our social media sites is this has now become a referendum as to the fact that Clemson, according to Gamecock fans, Clemson cares more about baseball than USC does. I don't know how the firing of Monty Lee is a referendum on the fact that Gamecock baseball is not as important in South Carolina as Clemson baseball is with the Tigers. But now that's what USC fans have to complain about now.
Yeah. Knew that was coming. It'd be like, well, Clemson fired their coach. Why didn't we fire our coach?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep.
Well, look, I give Ray Tanner credit because I didn't believe it was time. Again, personal observation. I didn't think it was time to fire Mark Kingston. I think you give him another year. Now, if they're at this point, same point next year, then I think you can say you gave it a good run and it's slipping. Yeah, no doubt the Clemson situation has slipped here. I mean, after the first 4 years of making a regional, he won 44, 42, and 47 games his first 3 years. Then he slipped to 35 wins, but still made it to a regional, won 15 league games. And then in 2020, they were off to a 14-3 start and a 3-0 start in the ACC. And then the season was killed at that point. Then, last year, 25-27. And this year, 35-21 after a 14-0 start. So, definitely a step back. And we'll ask Monty why he thinks the program slipped over the last couple of years. But if you look at the big picture and you weigh 6 full seasons, a tournament championship, 4 regional appearances in 6 seasons. I mean, it's not bad. It's not awful. the last 2 years, I mean, you have to just weigh if you're an AD. I mean, is this the beginning of a trend that he cannot fix? Or is this just a bump in the road or two that he can fix? So those are the questions that the AD has to weigh in his mind when he has to make this decision. I'll tell you what, let's hit the break, and we'll come back and hear from Graham Neff, some of his comments, because he did a Zoom session with the media. And then we've got Monty Lee coming up at 6:35, Todd Internado coming up at 7:05, and Gary Tharp at 7:35. I'm going to go get that machine. You seen them on television where you stick this machine on your nose and it runs. It's like a pressure washer through your nose and through your sinuses.
Yourself?
That's what I'm going to pressure wash the inside of my sinuses here during the break. Back in a moment.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. futurescholar.com.
All right, we are back with you on Sports Talk. We'll take some phone calls in a little bit, get your reaction to what happened today up at Clemson. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And since 2002, more than $160 million in lottery proceeds have been used to fund SC Hope scholarships for the state's college-bound students. Learn more about the lottery's impact at seducationlottery.com/educationwins. And playing for fun is a win for education. All right, here's Graham Neff, athletics director at Clemson. This afternoon announced the dismissal of Monty Lee as a coach after 7 seasons. He did a Zoom call with the media, and we pick it up with his opening comments. And here's a few minutes from that.
Tough day. Never easy decisions like this. And certainly with my role here, it's important to evaluate and to make tough decisions, and that's what this is, and primarily because of who Coach Lee is as a person, first of all, and as a leader of Clemson baseball, and how he's always led Clemson baseball in a first-class manner, and have been an incredibly important part of our department, just as a head coach, as one of our 14 head coaches, and to have the role of leading Clemson baseball. Which is a program of the highest expectation, and Monty's embraced that throughout his time here and coming here. And so for this transition has just not been easy. But Monty, the discussions that we had today and as we work through the evaluation has handled and responded in a first-class manner, as we would all expect and know Monty to be, which makes it tough. And for him and his staff and his players and how they've carried themselves and representing Clemson makes it Clemson baseball, and for him and has been is to be commended, and is of the utmost respect that I have in making decisions like this difficult. But and couldn't be more excited for the path ahead, for the trajectory for Clemson baseball. We have high expectations, a strong tradition, and get really excited to chart a new course, turn a page, have a chapter that's a different era. And I think that our ability to invest and respond and win big is the expectations that I have for all of our sports, but in particular Clemson baseball, with the strong tradition and background and attributes that it has. And so that's the intention. I've certainly had an afternoon long of meetings starting with Monty and staff and the team, and I've had that type of feedback and perspectives to them and dialogue. And today's all about Monty and his players and staff. And tomorrow we'll dive into a search officially and get going to chart the course ahead for Clemson baseball. Couldn't be more excited for what that looks like, for the opportunities out there, and to have a great experience for the Clemson student athletes here, and for our fans, for your perspective and support over the years, over the decades, but certainly here as we transition and for path ahead. Couldn't be more appreciative of the strong fan base and tradition that Clemson baseball has, and our supporters for that. So just a couple opening thoughts. Certainly look forward to a lot of the questions and dialogue on it. And so I'll stop there and open it up for any questions.
Hey, Graham, it's Davis from TCI. I'm curious, can you explain what Monty's buyout looks like? And also, will you be able to spend whatever you need to get the best coach that you feel like you need to bring in?
Yeah, thanks, Davis. So, Monty's contract, which should be available, he has 2 years remaining on his contract with that will certainly pay out and abide by that contract. Of course, it equates to about $500,000 that we have planned for, and will certainly support in a first-class manner his transition. Listen, from a market and where we intend to go with the search, as I said, I consider Clemson baseball a top 15 job. Period. With the tradition, the resources, the facility, the fan base, the talent within this state of South Carolina and region. And I think that that's where Clemson baseball should be, and what that means from a competition for postseason, regional, super regionals, Omaha. We've been to 12 College World Series and intend to increase that number. So therefore, Davis, yes, the ability to go out and attract that caliber of coach is where we intend to start. Certainly have done our due diligence on the market and what that looks like from an investment standpoint for coach and staff and program, and intend to, as I said, win and win big, and are prepared to invest big as it relates to attracting a coach to be able to restore and meet those expectations that we have for Clemson baseball.
All right, there you go. Some of the comments from Graham Neff, all the comments from his press conferences, virtual press conference on our website now, SportsTalkSC.com. And he said they'll hit the road tomorrow and start looking for the next guy to be the leader of the Clemson baseball program. And I imagine that they will attract some very good candidates. I imagine they'll attract some candidates from some veteran coaches. I imagine that they'll get some candidates from assistant coaches who were top assistant coaches at their respective programs. I see the Clemson baseball program as an excellent opportunity for whoever the next coach is. Again, you've got what appears to be outstanding facilities. They spent a lot of money in renovating and upgrading Doug Kingsmore Stadium, adding more amenities to it, adding more seats. And then you've got, of course, a rabid fan base that will support the baseball team totally. And you got a great history and a great tradition of Clemson baseball. Does it pay well enough? I mean, again, how much will they be willing to pay to get the best coach available to come in? Are they willing to break the bank? What does it really mean to Clemson? Do they have to pay that kind of money to get that kind of coach to come in and, take them back to that level that they were at?
I don't know. Those are great questions, and only Graham Neff and whomever his prospective candidates are can answer those questions. I think if you're going to pull an established coach away from a team that is also sort of comparable to what Clemson has, yeah, you're going to have to maybe not break the bank, but you're certainly going to have to push the envelope to go get an established coach and pull him away. Is that the direction Graham Neff wants to go? Or does he try something like Dan Radakovich did with Monty Lee, or Ray Tanner has done with Mark Kingston and Chad Holbrook, and get a coach that had done a good job? Holbrook's probably a bad example because I think everybody knew that when Ray Tanner stepped down, he was getting the job. But in terms of Mark Kingston, maybe not the high-profile name, but Ray Tanner rolled the dice, and hopefully for him, it'll start paying off next year. If not, Ray Tanner's going to be in the same boat next season. But Graham Neff, to me, I'm really surprised he made the comment about going out and having to start beating the pavement tomorrow. because I don't think you cut a guy like Monty Lee to the curb if you don't already have a really, really good plan in place as to whom you're going to hire moving forward.
Yeah, certainly he's got a plan. Certainly he's got an idea. Certainly he's got names. Now, you would think the majority of the people he's thinking about are involved in postseason.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't be a hire within the next, if you're a guy that you like or guys are winning games and moving forward, it could be a couple, 3 weeks down the road before something is done here. Well, Monty Lee will join us coming up after the break. Stay tuned for that right here on Sports Talk.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear overnight with a low of 69. Tomorrow, it'll be mostly sunny skies with rising humidity at a high topping out at 96. Even warmer on Thursday with 97 the high. We get a 30% chance of showers on Friday before we cool off a bit toward the weekend with highs in the upper 80s. Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Aiken-Cochran. As Miss America, I know that taking care of yourself is important. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. 90% of South Carolinians who have it don't know they have it. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join a diabetes prevention program. Brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
When was the last time you went through a drive-thru? Now, when was the last time you ordered fruits or vegetables from their menu? That's the problem we are facing every day. Unhealthy, processed foods are readily available at every street corner. But it's getting harder and harder to get whole, natural produce into our diets. That's why Balance of Nature exists. Balance of Nature is a special blend of fruits and vegetables chosen to provide the highest nutritional value possible. By taking just 3 fruit and 3 veggie capsules, you get the equivalent of all of the recommended servings of fruits and vegetables in just a few seconds. Get fruits and veggies into your diet today by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going online to balanceofnature.com. And don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code BALANCE.
I'm already a big fan of Medicare Blueprint. Tim and his team saved me several $1,000s. They took a look at my health insurance. They helped me get the best possible plan. But not long ago, I reached out when we had a crisis. The big bad insurance company out of nowhere just canceled Mom's medicine for her multiple sclerosis. No warning, 30 years, same med, and just like that, gone. Here's the good news. Medicare Blueprint doesn't work for the insurance companies. They work for you. They're local. Imagine me trying to get this fixed, calling some national toll-free number. Outsourced operators never talk to the same person twice. Medicare Blueprint went to work, helped me get Mom's meds back, and how's this? Even less expensively than we were paying before. Incredible customer service and local. What a great formula. Oh, and it cost me nothing for their services. Nothing. Whether you're on Medicare or not, my mom is, I'm not. Medicare Blueprint helped both of us. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398. That's 708-7398.
Everyone knows that here at The Point, we are all about supporting local businesses. We are all about local, local, local. You cannot get more local than my friend Greg McCoy and his business, Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Fran Halloran here. If you're buying a home or you're looking to refinance your current home, you owe it to yourself to call Greg. He is the real deal. You can expect Greg to treat you like you are his only client. You can expect Greg to scour the market to find you the best rate available. You can expect Greg to charge you a fair price for his work and his service. Why would you deal with some national company headquartered in who knows where when you can do business with Greg? Need further persuasion? Okay, I didn't even mention the good Greg does in our community by supporting local charities like Blue Star Mothers and Camp Chemo. Come on, you need to call Greg. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com, or you can call Greg at 803-722-6044. That's 722-6044.
You know what? I get asked every now and then, Kev, when you say my guy, do you really have a my guy at Palmetto Exterminators? Well, I really do. Ron Byers is my guy. Do you realize I've been a customer of Palmetto Exterminators for 20 years this summer? That's over the course of 3 homes, longer than my kids have been around. I'm loyal to Palmetto Exterminators for several reasons. First, they do a phenomenal job with pest control for a very fair price. It's just not a concern around my home.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk on a Tuesday night here in South Carolina, and it's never easy when a well-known, popular coach in our state is dismissed from his job. We've seen it happen earlier this year with Frank Martin at South Carolina. I mean, it happens. The guys in these positions, they know it happens. It's part of the job. It's still never easy when you've been following people in their positions for years and years, as we have. But that was the case today with Monty Lee at Clemson. And like I said earlier, I think this alone just speaks volumes about the type of person that Monty Lee is, and that is on the evening that he was removed from his job, he's willing to come on Sports Talk and join us here, as he has done throughout his careers at the College of Charleston and at Clemson. And we really appreciate that, and hopefully this will help you in some ways, Monty, and maybe help you to just sort of release some emotions and some feelings. But first of all, thank you for joining us, and I'm going to open up the door for you here to talk about your feelings and what the day's been like for you.
Well, as always, Phil, thanks for having me on. Today is obviously, it's been a very, very tough day. I received the news earlier today from the athletic director, Graham Neff, and associate athletic director, Kyle Young, who was my sports supervisor. And in a tough, very, very tough meeting, I couldn't have been more grateful, just the level of class in which they handled the meeting, the professional manner in which they both went about it. Got a chance to meet with the players, was very appreciative of that. That was a very emotional meeting, but honestly, as tough as it is to know that I'll no longer be the head baseball coach at Clemson, it's been a lifelong dream, and I've gotten a chance to live that dream for the last 7 years, and just can't say how much I appreciate the opportunity that I've had here at Clemson. Just to be able to coach at such a fine institution, a great academic school, great baseball program, tremendous fan base, and all the people involved, all the players that I've gotten to coach, my coaching staff that I've gotten a chance to work with, and the support staff here. Everybody has been just A+, and it's been a dream come true. So it's a very, very tough day, but it's also it's one of a day of reflection and appreciation, and one of gratitude just for the opportunity that I got here at Clemson.
After the end of the baseball tournament last week, you were asked about your future, and you told the reporters there that you felt like you'd be back as Clemson's coach. And I know maybe in that setting, that's something you had to say because that's just the way things were at that moment. But as you were saying that last week, did you really feel in your gut that everything was going to be okay and that you had the support and you would be retained?
Quite honestly, I didn't know. And I think when I was asked that question, as you guys can imagine, not to say that it threw me off guard, because it's a fair question. Look, our season ended with 2 losses in the ACC tournament. We were on the bubble. We did not make the NCAA postseason last year, and felt like the reality of losing the 2 games in the ACC tournament probably put us on the wrong side of the bubble. So it was a fair question, and I probably just wasn't prepared to answer it in that moment. And in my mind, sure, I felt like, look, my mindset has always been, we need to, just move forward to next year, get ready for next year. Got a great recruiting class coming in, and got a great group of kids coming back. So my mindset was obviously that I would be here, but I also know the reality of the position that I am in, and that a change could be made. So to say that I expected to be back or expected to be let go, it wasn't really an expectation either way. Quite honestly, it was more of just my focus on doing the job that I had been assigned to do, and that is continue to try to do everything I could to move the program forward. And that was my thought process, and why I answered the question the way that I did. So I really had no indication that this would happen. And again, I mean, look, we know what we signed up for, and this is a business, and we're in the business of winning games. And the administration felt like we had not done enough in the last 2 years. Understand that. I embraced the expectations when I got the job here, and I'm a 100% accountable guy. That's the way that I've coached my teams. I don't place blame anywhere. You have to look at the man in the mirror and ask yourself, look, did I do everything that I could do? And if I fail, doing the best job that I feel like I could do, then I have to be able to live with it. And I'm proud of the things that I was able to do here at Clemson. Certainly disappointed that, we did not fulfill some of the expectations that we had, of getting past that regional round, getting a super regional, getting to Omaha. Just we're unable to do those things, and we understand what comes, with this job when you don't do that.
Did you have any chance in your meeting this morning to kind of present a case for yourself to point out that, even though you didn't make the tournament, you went from 27 to 35 wins. You've got a really highly regarded recruiting class coming in. Like you mentioned, you've got several key players returning next year that you maybe are on the precipice of turning it around and getting it back to where it was. Did you have any opportunity to make a case for yourself?
I'd like to keep, obviously the things that were discussed between me and the administration, between us, out of respect, to Graham Neff and in the role that he's in and the leadership role that he's in as the athletic director. I would like to, certainly keep those, confidential between he and I, out of respect to him. But he was very, very professional. Look, the conversations that we had were very professional, were above board, and that's probably the extent that I'd like to go into it. Just again, out of respect to him, but I will say this: whoever gets this job, I'm going to support them any way that I can. I'm certainly not going to be a distraction or be in the way or anything like that. But I want the next leader of the program to know they've got a great group of kids coming back, and they've got a great group of kids coming in, and nobody is going to want them to be more successful than I do, because I love the players that are in the program, and I want what's best for them, and I want them to strive and strive for for big things, to win at a high level, and I hope that the next head coach can get a lot out of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Pure class here tonight on the program. Monty Lee joining us on a tough day for Coach. And Coach, sort of big picture, looking at this past season now with maybe a little benefit of hindsight, is there anything perhaps you would have done differently this year? You started off so well, had that 14-0 start, and things just didn't go well for you in ACC play. But if you've had a chance maybe to look back at this year, is there anything you would have liked to have tweaked or done differently with the way you ran your club this year?
Well, I think when you get off to a 14-0 start like we did this year, it's really hard to look back and say, what would you do differently? Things were going very, very well. I think if there was anything that I wish I could have done differently, probably wish that I would have tried to switch up the rotation maybe a little earlier. but felt like we wanted to stick with those guys and try to give them an opportunity to right the ship a little bit. But I would say that's really the only thing. I mean, I felt like we were pretty consistent with the guys that we played and the guys that we pitched, and we stayed the course, even when times were not going well for us. But, you know, another thing that I was proud of with this group, look, we were 2-9 in ACC play at one point and then went 7-2 to finish. So, I mean, the guys did a great job of being able to manage a really tough situation and putting us in a position to get into the postseason. We just came up short at the end of the year. But I would say if there's anything, you know, I wish that, you know, we would have, you know, potentially made some changes in the rotation a little bit earlier in the year. I don't know if it would have made that big of a difference. But you know, again, that's just me being candid with you.
Would you like to coach again next year, whether it be a head coach, an assistant's role, or is that forest for the trees type deal? Do you need some time off to sort of decompress and figure out what the next move is for you?
Well, one thing I don't do very well with is time. I'm not a you know, vacation guy, take time off type guy. I like to be engaged, and I like to feel like I have something to wake up to in the morning that brings value to an organization and to a program. And look, I've been a coach all my life. That's all I've ever wanted to do. So I certainly want to coach. Don't know, you know, what that looks like, whether it's as a head coach and assistant. Look, I was an assistant coach for 8 years. I feel like if anybody knows what it's like to, you know, to try to help serve a head coach, it would be me, because I've been one for the last 14 years. But I'm open to anything and everything right now. You know, haven't had a chance to look at it, but certainly hope that I get a chance to coach again in the near future. And you know, we'll see what that looks like. Hopefully over you know, the next couple weeks.
Visiting with Monty Lee for a few more minutes, outgoing baseball coach at Clemson. How much did the COVID year, losing that year, set your program back? And not looking for any excuses or anything, but, you know, you were 14-3, you were 3-0 in the ACC when the season ended. And then, you know, you look at what happened the 2 years following. Is there a connection in your mind?
I don't know. You know, I've certainly had those types of conversations since COVID happened. As how did that affect you guys? You know, we certainly had an unbelievable group that year. I mean, we had, you know, a third-round draft pick pitching on Friday nights, and we had the guy that started for the Atlanta Braves pitching on Sunday, and the guy in between them's in the Cleveland Indians organization. I mean, we had an unbelievable rotation, and we had a scrappy lineup that could really play defense. So we had the makings of a great club that year, and it was cut short. You know, how much did it set us back? I think losing that rotation after that year, you know, it did hurt us some. But to say the impact of it, I really don't know, to be honest with you. And again, as you guys know, like, I'm not really into making excuses or things of that nature. So you know, I really don't know. But you know, again, I just hope that the kids who are here in the program and the kids that are coming in, I hope they can, you know, that there's great excitement moving forward for the Clemson baseball program. They find a great, you know, make a great hire and you know, and have a great season moving forward.
This might be a little bit of a personal question, but I'll ask it anyway. See if you'll share. Since the news came out around the baseball world, around the college baseball world, can you share with us some of the people, not Clemson people, not former players or assistants, but I'm talking about some of the other major names in the college baseball world that you might have heard from, just folks reaching out to you?
Well, you know, again, with all the relationships that I'm very fortunate to have in college baseball, I have heard from quite a few people today, and I've heard from a lot of people in the Palmetto State, a lot of the college coaches in the Palmetto State, and people that I've worked with, people that I've worked for. You know, again, I've heard from a lot of people today, and so it's great to have so many friends and so many, wonderful relationships in the state and across the country when it comes to the game. The game connects so many people. So, days like today, it's great to hear from your friends and your colleagues. So yeah, I have heard from quite a few people today, and my phone's, obviously vibrating as I'm on the phone with you guys. So, it's just appreciation, just appreciate people reaching out and, them letting me know that they're thinking about me and praying for me and all those good things. It's, it makes you feel good. Baseball's such a tight community. So, I'm grateful for that.
Ray Tanner among them?
Again, I'd like to keep, try to, keep those types of things to myself. But if anybody out there, wants to know how I feel about Ray Tanner, look, Ray Tanner gave me an opportunity when I was a volunteer assistant coach at a junior college to come coach at the University of South Carolina. And then promoted me from a volunteer assistant to a recruiting coordinator. The whole reason that I'm a head baseball coach is because of Ray Tanner. So, to say that, what I think about Ray Tanner, I love the man. He's one of the biggest mentors I've ever had in my life. He is a great human being, and he's someone that I will have a tremendous amount of respect for the rest of my life, for all that he's done for me and for all that he's done for a lot of people in our game.
Last thing, Monty, we'll let you go. And you mentioned earlier to Chris's question that you're not a guy that wants to vacation, play golf, fish, any of that good stuff the rest of us want to do. You want to coach baseball, right? You want to be on a field in the locker room with the guys doing your thing. What would you put the odds at for you having a team next season?
I really don't know. That's a tough, and the only reason that I say that is because, this just happened today. There's not a lot of jobs open right now. Just kind of looking at what's out there. There's not a lot of opportunities that are available. I would think that here in the next couple days, as I begin to transition out of Clemson, that I will begin to look into some of those opportunities and just see what's out there and see if those schools would, be interested in someone like myself. But I haven't really had a chance to dive into the next step for me, quite honestly, just because, of the magnitude of a day like today for someone, like myself.
Yeah, certainly understand that. Well, we have no doubt that we'll be talking to you again with a baseball uniform on. You don't strike me as the suit and tie kind of guy.
No, I'm not.
I think you'll have a team, before we know it, and you're going to do great wherever you land next. But for all of us here on our program at Sports Talk and baseball fans across the state, I want them to know that not once ever in your years at college or your years at Clemson, when we reached out for you to come on the program, whether it was directly or through Brian Hennessy, did you not come on the program if you were available? Occasionally a practice got in the way. We understood that. But you always made time for us. And, man, I can't tell you how much we really appreciate it. And tonight I think speaks volumes for what you're all about and what you stand for. And no question you'll be coaching somewhere again. So I know it's a dark day for you today. But you know that, good stuff's right around the corner. As they say, a door closes, another one opens. So another one's going to be opening for you. Well,
as always, Phil, anytime that you've had me on, I always wrap it up by telling you and everybody that works for you, I just greatly appreciate you having me on. And I look forward to talking to you again, hopefully here in the near future.
All right, Coach. Good luck to you.
Coach.
And thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. Monty Lee with us here on Sports Talk.
Wow.
And that's just great. I can't think of too many who would. Of course, Frank Martin came on with us not too long after things happened with him.
Well, I asked you, and I wasn't around at the time when Chad Holbrook was dismissed at South Carolina, but you said Chad came on about either that night or the next day. So, I mean, we've got really, really good coaches and just better people that handle not just at the collegiate level, but across our state. But we've got really good coaches here. And if I were starting a baseball program tomorrow, that would be the first call and maybe only call I'd make.
Yeah.
I love Monty Lee.
I got to believe that when jobs open up, Monty's going to get a lot of phone calls and a lot of opportunities. And I got to believe that, Ray Tanner, with his connections throughout the baseball world, will certainly help him land a spot, because Ray Tanner's voice in the baseball world still carries a ton of weight, I'm sure. We'll be right back. We're with Major Billy Downer of DNR. Of course, hunting is very popular across the state of South Carolina. Major Downer, what things should our hunters be thinking about before they get out in the fields?
It seems like every other show we're talking about hunting safety of some sort. Whether it's turkey season or deer season, hunters always need to be aware of the target. Make sure before you pull that trigger that you know what you're looking at. Whether it's a turkey during turkey season or a deer during deer season, you know your identifying features of your game. You know what's beyond that target in case you miss.
Learn more about the great outdoors in South Carolina with Major Billy Downer on SC Wild here on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Hey folks, it's Mike Morgan for Gibson Insurance. Former Gamecock player Bo Mobley and former coach Stuart Lake want you on their team for all your insurance needs. Now, cost-effective solutions is what they're all about for the now and for the long term. They're licensed with every insurance company in the state. They've got offices in Columbia, Greenville, and Sumter. But if you're listening right now, let me direct you to call Bo and Stu today at 803-605-0029. That's 803-605-0029. Let my good friends take great care of you.
Thanks again to Monty Lee for joining us here tonight on Sports Talk. It's huge of him to take the time out to be with us on what has to be obviously an extremely difficult day for him and his family. And, I got to believe Chris and Monty Lee saw Clemson as his destination job. I think he would have been the Clemson coach for life, given the opportunity. If things go well, he would have been a Bill Wilhelm, Jack Leggett type of guy at Clemson, that long tenured. I can't speak for Monty Lee. I mean, who am I to speak for him? But I don't know that you could have pried him away from the Clemson job if they'd have kept if things were going well and they would have kept his salary competitive with the market. I would not have seen him leaving Clemson for anything else.
No, I agree with you. I think that was the job he coveted, and when it came open and they gave him the opportunity, and he ran with it and did a really, really good job. And I think we may look back, and it's all going to rest now on Graham Neff hiring the right guy. I think right now, though, they should have given him another year to get an opportunity, maybe turn it around, just like South Carolina's doing with Mark Kingston. But if you're in a boat where you believe he can't turn it around, and I wish, and I respect him for not telling us what he said in the meeting. And Pat brought up a great point last night about the recruiting class he's got coming in, one of the top recruiting classes in the country, and would that have been enough? But I would have liked to have known. It would have been great to be a fly on the wall to find out what he said about the direction of the program and his vision for next season that wasn't acceptable enough to keep his job.
Yeah. And how many of these guys are going to stick?
That's a great question.
Both in terms of those in the program now and those that are signed up. You got Jeff Blauser's son, for example, the former Braves shortstop, is one of the signees for Clemson in this class. You've got a catcher named Hogan Garner from down in James Island. You've got right-hander Brock Porter out of Milford, Michigan, just picking up some names here. Outfielder Leighton Lackey from Grovetown, Georgia. Left-hander B.J. Bailey from Spartanburg Methodist. Just some of the names on this list. Cooper Blauser is the young man I'm talking about from Johns Creek, Georgia, who is Jeff Blauser's son. So, and Clemson's done a nice job under Monty signing sons of former major league players. He's had quite a few of those come through the program. So we wish him well. I got a feeling we'll hear from him again at some point and someplace, and either as a head coach or a highly regarded assistant coach, maybe for a year or two. Maybe you do that, be an assistant head coach somewhere, and then take that next step when that opportunity presents itself. Anyway, after the break, Todd entered Donato, who, you know what? Maybe his name's going to be in the mix. I'm not going to ask him. I don't think that'd be fair to anybody. But right there at Wofford, won 42 games this year, Southern Conference regular season champs, stumbled on Sunday in the tournament, and thus was left out of the NCAA tournament. We played the interview that Julia Morris from up at Channel 4 did with him. He was quite upset and emotional yesterday, and we'll see 24 hours later how he's feeling about things. Probably hasn't really cooled off or changed his opinion very much. We got that coming up, plus a dose of recruiting too, and Kerry Tharp. Be right back.
Someone will be right with you.
The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. Ohio Republican Congressman Jim Jordan demanding documents from the January 6th panel in the face of a subpoena for him to appear.
In a 6-page letter, Congressman Jordan berates the committee on several points before asking it to, quote, provide all documents, videos, or other material in the possession of the select committee that you potentially anticipate using, introducing, or relaying during questioning. The subpoena notes that Jordan was in contact with former President Trump on January 6th and participated in several calls discussing strategy for the day. He also expressed frustration that the panel failed to respond to a January 9th letter in which he followed up on the committee's request to voluntarily speak with them. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
Also at townhall.com, football great Herschel Walker says he never did get a call from former President Donald Trump asking him to run for the Senate. We have more on that story from correspondent Bob Agnew.
The former president sought to boost Walker in the primary for months and even traveled to the Peach State earlier this year to campaign for the former college and NFL superstar. Now Walker describes himself as mad at the former president for taking credit. In fact, Walker says it was not Trump, but his own faith that led him to enter the race, something he told reporters he prayed about first. Walker easily won the GOP nomination last week and is set to face off with Democrat Raphael Warnock in the November election. Bob Agnew reporting.
Supreme Court temporarily blocking the counting of some mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania. Order could affect the tight GOP Senate primary between David McCormick and Dr. Mehmet Oz. The order from Justice Samuel Alito pauses a lower court ruling in a suit in a disputed 2021 local court election that would have allowed the counting of mail-in ballots that lack a handwritten date. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
If you're with Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, join the flood of people switching to Pure Talk. The average family saves over $800 a year by switching. Get unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data for just $30 a month. Or if you still want unlimited data, you can get that and still save a fortune. Go to puretalk.com, type in your address to find the coverage at your home, then enter promo code HALF, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. That's puretalk.com, promo code HALF.
Blamed for the delay in stopping the gunman at a Texas elementary school falling on Uvalde's school district police chief.
Students called 911 and anguished parents begged officers outside to rescue their kids. At a news conference Friday, the head of the Texas Department of Public Safety, Colonel Stephen McCraw, said officers on the scene should not have waited to go in. Blame has fallen on the school district's police chief, Pete Arredondo, who told more than a dozen officers to wait in a hallway until finally a Border Patrol tactical team used a key to unlock the classroom door and kill the gunman. I'm Jennifer King.
Texas authorities, meanwhile, say the teacher who propped open an exterior door that a gunman used to get inside the school had closed the door, but it did not lock. Investigators initially had said the teacher propped the door open with a rock and did not remove it before the gunman had entered the building. Breaking news and analysis, townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear overnight with a low of 69. Tomorrow, it'll be mostly sunny skies with rising humidity at a high topping out at 96. Even warmer on Thursday with 97 the high. We get a 30% chance of showers on Friday before we cool off a bit for the weekend with highs in the upper 80s. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Please press button now. No, number 1.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we're back on Sports Talk on this very busy Tuesday night. Got the recruiting report coming up for you in a few minutes. And Kerry Tharp, I'm assuming Kerry's recovered from his day at Charlotte on Sunday, the 600-miler. That'll take you a couple of days to get over that. He'll be with
the whole
us.
time?
I'm sure he did. I mean, he's the president of Darlington. He can't walk out on a race.
Yes, you can. If
Gotta
it's not
be
your
there.
race.
Got to be there the whole time. And we had Monty Lee on with us in the last half hour, and he was fantastic, sharing his thoughts about what went on with him. And we have a continuing theme tonight. And Monty wasn't upset. He handled things extremely well. But you can understand inside he had to be burning. And another baseball coach whose insides were burning yesterday, no question about it, Todd Interdonato, baseball coach at Wofford. And 24 hours later, we'll see if the insides are still burning as Coach joins us here on Sports Talk. And we thank you so much. Todd, how are you?
I'm doing about how you would expect, but all things considered, pretty well.
Well, if anybody got railroaded on Monday afternoon, it was you guys. And I don't say that because you're here in our state. I mean, I don't know what else and people would say, well, what else could they have done? They could have won their tournament. Okay, fine. But my goodness, should a one bad day wipe out everything else you guys accomplished during the season? That is hard to take.
Yeah, it is. And you know, we certainly understand the parameters of a mid-major league, that your only guarantee is winning your tournament. Like, we get that. You know, I've been here for 17 years. You know, I understand what it looks like. But at the same time, you know, I just don't even consider it a bad day from us. I just consider it an electric day from UNC Greensboro. I mean, look, we played fine on Sunday. They were just in a trance that we've seen some people get into, and we've been in that trance. I mean, there was a point this year, I think we were like 23-2 over a stretch, and we were in that trance. And I can tell you, you're just unbeatable. And when we were, you know, about halfway through game 2, I'm like, man, this is just a bad day for us to run into them. And in the back of my head, I'm going, this is great. This is great for the league. Like, UNC Greensboro has been a good team all year. They're playing well at the right time. They're going to get in. We're going to get in. We're going to be a two-bid league for the first time in 10 years, and this is going to be good for everybody.
And then it didn't happen.
and then it didn't happen. That is correct.
So you, in your mind, in your gut, I try to hold back from saying in your heart of hearts because I've worn that phrase out. But in your heart of hearts, after losing twice on Sunday, you still felt 100% sure you guys are going to be picked on Monday afternoon.
I didn't have a doubt in my mind. You know, and we were going through it, and, you know, any baseball coach would tell you, you go through conference tournament play, you're going to run thin on pitching. And, you know, a lot of people at that point of the year at our level will recycle guys and overuse guys. And I'm just like, yeah, we're not doing that. Like, we got to get ready to play next weekend. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there was a point we thought about bringing our Friday starter back on Sunday for a couple innings. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, he's got to be ready to pitch on Friday in a regional. And, you know, we had guys just coming up to me saying, hey, I got an inning, I can do this. And I'm like, we're like, that's not who we are anyway. Like, we just don't use those guys like that. And certainly in a position where I was making in-game decisions based on the fact that we were in.
Wow. And now when you reflect on that, I mean, do you hate yourself for doing that? Do you think second guess?
Absolutely not, man. No, these guys aren't rented mules. Like, they're kids. They got futures. Like, we need them for next year. Like, we're not gonna overuse those guys. Now, if those guys were ready to go, like, of course we would have used them as they were available. But those guys weren't available. They were asking to be available, and I was not going to make an exception to that.
So, Mike Buddy said afterwards, as you no doubt heard, one of the points that they looked at with the at-large was strength of non-conference schedule, and yours is 90. I mean, do you buy that? Is that what kept you out?
I don't buy any of it. I don't. I think you look at the last 4 teams in, and they all had different criteria for getting in. Like, they all had different criteria for getting in. Ole Miss had a criteria for getting in that they tried to justify. Grand Canyon had a criteria to getting in. You know, what was there? I think their out-of-conference strength schedule was 84. Like, okay, so that's, basically a negligible difference, and our RPI is 15 points higher. So, like, no, I don't buy that. Then you can talk about, it comes down to, regular season. Okay, well, we won our league. Like, Ole Miss finished 9th. So, okay, what is it at that point? And it just seems like the most frustrating thing that I've talked to with coaches over the last 48 hours is every year it is a moving target. This committee decides it's out of conference strength of schedule. 3 years ago, it was in conference play. Then it was RPI straight up and down. It's just a moving goalpost. It's just so hard to hit. And the reality is, at a place like Wofford, a mid-major school, without a name brand on a national stage, you have to leave zero doubt. And the only way to do that is to win your tournament.
Todd Interdonato, the head coach at Wofford, who should be playing this weekend, but they're not, joining us here tonight on Sports Talk. And Coach, if you were angry person 1, I was angry person 1A for you guys yesterday because it hit on a subject that has bothered me forever with regards to mid-majors, a group of 5, whatever, however you want to classify where you play. And it's the situation where the regular season is meaningless. And to me, your league, the Colonial, the Big South, all these different leagues should just get rid of the conference tournament because it penalizes a team like yours. You were the best team for 2.5 months in your league, and you weren't as good for a day. And that cost you an opportunity to play on the biggest stage. Is there any thought in your mind about maybe on down the road doing what the Ivy League has done in basketball for a long time and awarding the Southern Conference automatic bid to its regular season champion, not its tournament champion?
I've always liked the tournament for a reason that nobody else likes the tournament. I like the tournament because it keeps the integrity of the regular season intact. And if you have a conference tournament that includes everybody, whatever format you have, all of those teams are engaged through the final day. If, let's say, you take that format that you're talking about, right? Like, you say, hey, let's just take the regular season champion. Well, we go into the last week of the year and we are playing VMI, who was at the point was in 6th or 7th. Well, at that point, their season's over. They're disengaged. Well, what if, we were going up against, this year we had 3 teams tied for second. Mercer was in second place most of the year. And let's say Mercer was playing the 3rd place team in the last week of the year. And that team is engaged and they're fighting. I just think you lose the integrity of the regular season. And I've just always been really sensitive to that because, you hear all the time with these big league guys when they're out of the playoffs, hey man, this is my job. This is my profession. This is what I do. This is what I get paid to do. Those guys are playing for war. They're playing for contracts. Our guys, if their season is over with 2 weeks left, like, they just get disengaged. And I think the tournament is good in the fact that it keeps the integrity of the regular season. But at the same time, I'm sitting in this position I am today saying, yeah, we were the best team in the league far and away, and we should be representing our league. But that's not the issue. That's not the issue. We are trying to solve the symptom, not the problem. And the problem is we needed to have our resume put up against everybody else with a blank logo at the top, and it would have been in my opinion. You just look, you wipe off the logos of those, and our resume is good enough to be in.
All right. With that being said, and I totally get your side of the argument, and I like that, and hadn't really looked at it that way. I just think it penalizes a team like yours when you have to go be as good as you were for 2.5 months for a week's time. But with that being said, and the blank resume, obviously it's not. So what is the incentive for a program like yours to go to a school like Dallas Baptist, whom they told us yesterday was never even close to the bubble, and you guys took 2 out of 3 from them, and it didn't benefit you at all? Looking forward to your non-conference schedule moving in the distant future. What's the incentive for you to play teams like that?
It's tough, right? Like, we sit around here, and I made a commitment to getting our team on the national stage a few years ago, and we just decided to get our teams on the road. And, you mentioned DBU, but I think everybody's overlooking. We went to Belmont, who won the OVC going away and won that series too in Nashville. And, I think their RPI finished in the low 60s. And, we just got on the road more in the last 2 years than we've ever had, and our RPI is creeping up. So again, it's just hard for me to sit here and say I'm going to do something different when a committee made a decision that I don't agree with. And so it's just hard for me to say I'm going to fix what I've been doing that's been working for us and do something completely different because we got left out. That's just, I don't know. I just think that's kind of a weak mindset, in my opinion, to just kind of throw up your hands and say, well, that didn't work. It has worked. We were the 35th best team in the country based on the metric that we have. We've won the regular season. We've had 36 plus wins for 4 straight years. We've won the regular season back to back. And a lot of that is because we test our guys and put them on the road and put them in tough environments.
I think it says something about baseball too, and the dangers of baseball postseason tournaments when you swept UNCG in the regular season, you beat them in the first round of the tournament, and then you had to turn around and play them twice on Sunday. And like you said, obviously your pitching was getting pretty thin at that point. And I watched those games, and I mean, like, it became batting practice for those guys from Greensboro there for a little while, just bang, bang, bang. And it just happened to you. It's got to make it that much more frustrating losing to a team that you had handled 4 times previously until that one day.
That's right. And, we had kept their offense down. We kept their offense down 2 of the 3 games that they were here at King Field. We kept their offense down on Friday. And I said it in the post-game interview on Saturday after we beat Sanford. She's like, you feel good in your position? I'm like, no, because the team, like, I understand there's benefits to sitting in that catbird seat, having to get beat twice. I get that. And I wouldn't trade that position at all. But what you have to keep in mind is when those teams come out of the losers bracket, they're on a winning streak. Like, they get to Championship Sunday and they are confident, they are comfortable, they are playing hard, they are playing together. Like, UNC Greensboro is on a 3-game winning streak coming into us. And you just, the mindset and the confidence thing in this game is more important than anything. And I just said repeatedly in the last 48 hours, those guys were so confident and playing so well, and we could never derail them. And that was our job. Our job was to derail them by putting up some zeros, by getting a lead, by putting our kind of style on the field, by putting some pressure on them, and we were never able to do that. But they threw 2 arms. Like, you have to give those guys credit. Like, the guy that pitched in game 1 threw phenomenally. The guy who pitched in game 2 may have thrown better. And it wasn't like we weren't hitting balls hard. I mean, it wasn't like we were striking out all over the place. Like you said, it's baseball. That's how it is. This isn't football. Like, the better football team wins 99 times out of 100. Baseball is like poker. Like, you can just get beat and do everything right, and you can just get beat.
Well, the Southern Conference has an RPI as a league of 11. I mean, obviously, one thing you guys have to do as a league, and it's pretty good baseball at Southern Conference. It's been really good baseball over the years. But, I mean, is there anything you guys can do as a league to improve your RPI, to make your league better, to where, like you were thinking, you were going to get those 2 bids? It didn't happen. And what can the league itself do to get to a position where you can become a multiple bid league?
Well, I think, with us, and the heartbreaking decision for Furman to shut their program down was, that's a whole, we don't have enough time to go over that.
Yeah.
But, now we're down to an 18 league, so we only have 7 conference weekends scheduled, which is great because now you have 7 weekends of non-conference that you can do things like Belmont and Dallas Baptist, and Mercer went to Utah, and Citadel went out to Creighton, and there's a number of other examples. ETSU went to Baylor. So by giving us that flexibility in our non-conference schedule, I think it encourages coaches to say, okay, I'll take a chance. I'll go play Baylor on the road, because everybody wants to play at home. Everybody wants to try to play people they can beat in non-conference, and then you want to really cut your teeth, in the league. And so I think when you have those 7 open weekends, it gives everybody a little bit of incentive to go out and test themselves and push themselves a little more. So that has helped. The way that we are going to continue to be in a tough spot with the RPI is just the way it's calculated does not favor Southern schools, because they rate a road win at 1.3 wins and a home win at only 0.7 wins. So it's just encouraging to get on the road.
Is that only for Southern schools?
Well, no. Over the country.
Yeah.
Every road win is worth 1.3.
Okay.
Every home win is worth 0.7. Well, if you play at home for 6 straight weeks.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
now these
yeah,
northern
yeah.
teams, it's favoring them because they're
Gotcha.
on the road, right?
Gotcha,
And I
gotcha.
understand it should be pushed in that direction. But if you run the numbers, which I've been crazy enough to do, it doesn't add up. The road team in college baseball only wins about 58 to 60% of the time. So the RPI really should be at like that 1.15 range instead of 1.3. So you're just overvaluing road wins. And so then you look at schools like us specifically, that we are in the South. We want to be home for academics. We want to be home to keep our kids in class, which everybody does. And then you got to balance that with trying to put yourself in an RPI position to get on the road as much to really give yourself a chance for those at-large bids. And so you just got a lot of constraints coming at you from a lot of different ways that you're trying to balance. And it's tough, man. It's just every weekend you're looking at it going, what's the right decision here? And by the way, you're trying to do it 3 years in advance.
Yeah. Last thing, we'll let you go. I mean, one thing I did notice about the breakdown of your record, you ended up with 7 games. You went 3-4 against Quad 1 competition, which is, if you look at the top 40 in the RPI, that's the fewest number of games against Quad 1s. Now, I know the way it works. Some teams move into Quad 1, they move out, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
But I imagine you want to do more and find more Quad 1 type competition. Will you have that on your schedule in 23?
Well, we're going to try, right? But at one point we were 9-6 in Quad 1.
Okay. That's my point. Yeah. Some fell out.
So
yeah.
Right. And I think everybody late in the season discounted us winning the series at Mercer. When we went and won the series at Mercer, their RPI was 18.
Mm-hmm.
So and then everybody goes, oh, well, they finished at 60. Well, they weren't 60 when we played them. They lost their best player the week after they were gone. But when we beat them, they were RPI of 18. And I don't know if it's right to calculate it as it sits when you play it, or is it right to calculate it in a rolling format like they do now? I don't have the answer to that.
Sure.
So it's just kind of one of those other things. It's just kind of a moving target, right? Like, and you can schedule somebody for next year. You're like, oh, they'll be a Quad 1 team, and then they're not.
Well, who are some of the non-conference games you got next year? Can you share?
Not quite yet, just because we haven't publicized them. But we'll do some Power Fives. We'll do some challenging series on the road, and then we got one open weekend that we're still trying to fill. That I'm trying to make that decision of, can we do this? Can we, do we need to go here? Do we need to go there? And I'm trying to balance all the numbers right now to figure out how to fill that last weekend of what's best for our team.
Last thing, and I know this is just an opinion on your part, a projection, but had you been, of course, people had you projected as a 3 seed, not a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Had you made the tournament, what kind of showing do you think you guys would have made? Say you had been sent to maybe Georgia Southern as the 3 seed instead of Texas Tech. I mean, how do you think you would have done?
I feel confident about our team. We were pretty well balanced. I mean, we led the league in ERA. We led the league in batting average. We led the league in on-base percentage. We led the league in stolen bases. I felt like we would have gone down there and put a good product on the field. And the best part about the thing that I felt the best about, was we had played in those environments all year. And, DBU, when we went there, was a slam dunk host. And we talked about like, hey, this is the type of environment you want to play in, and this is where you want to be. And so I felt like we were very well prepared. But again, you said it, it's baseball and you don't know. But man, I really, really, really liked our team this year. And I really felt like we could have gone somewhere and competed. And I don't know, if I were looking up and I would have seen a team with our numbers coming in, I don't know how comfortable I would have been.
Well, you impressed the heck out of us all season long, and really thought you were going to get in there, despite what happened on Sunday. Really thought there would be a way with 42 wins and a very good RPI and some good wins on your schedule. Thought you were going to get in there. So sorry it ended this way. We really appreciate you being on with us tonight. Look forward to talking to you next season about a lot of Wofford baseball. Good luck to you.
All right. Thanks a lot for having me on, guys.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach Todd Interdonato from Wofford. 16-4, and I feel terrible for Wofford and College of Charleston. I mean, but again, and I know what you're saying, but they're not going to kill their postseason tournaments. And if you're going to award the automatic bid to the regular season champion, then that, as he pointed out, then where's the incentive for the postseason tournament? It just kills it.
It's an interesting point, and I get that. I just think, again, there ought to be some value to being the best team in your league for 2.5 months as opposed to 1 week. And I'd say this in basketball season too. And he talked about the schedule this year. I'd respect the heck out of him wanting to do it again, but there's no incentive for it. They played Georgia twice. They played Clemson this year. He took a series from Dallas Baptist. And yes, it should matter when they go to Mercer that they're the RPI number 18. They should get credit for that when they played them, not how the team finished.
I just had a sparkling idea.
That didn't make any sense.
I just had a sparkling idea. Remember last week at this time when I came up with the sparkling idea for the NASCAR All-Star race?
Mm-hmm.
How about this idea? Let's do away with all league tournaments, okay? Regular season champs, they are in the NCAA field. And this gives you more time. This gives you an extra week prior to the start of the regionals. Have a national tournament involving the teams that did not win their tournament championships, and let those teams play their way into the national tournament by having have a number of best 2 out of 3 tournaments the weekend before at sites all around the country, and have the teams that win those, whatever you want to call them, they earn their way into the NCAA tournament along with the teams that have already clinched by virtue of winning the regular season.
It would be the equivalent of the play-in tournament.
So, for example,
first 4.
No, for example, so Tennessee won the SEC, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you take, now you have to figure out a qualification. How do you qualify to be in this thing? But say you take, if Florida plays at Clemson for a play-in to the NCAA tournament, best 2 out of 3. If South Carolina qualified, South Carolina would play at NC State. For the right to move on. NC State would claim a victory, of course, on paper. But and if they didn't,
I think that's a great idea, Phil. And it solves the problem. It eliminates a team like Wofford, who works so hard to be so good during their league. College of Charleston too. They are already in.
Yeah, I like that.
And then these other teams, and to Coach Interdonato's point, then you also have a setup where the other teams who aren't going to win the regular season. Maybe the criteria is you've got to finish within the top 4 of your league or top 3 of your league. So they still have something for which to play in the final couple of weeks of the regular. I love it.
Yeah, come up with a criteria to qualify those teams to play in a best 2 out of 3 the previous weekend. You win that, you move into the main draw. You can even, just to keep it political and to keep the conversation going, you can even have a few at-large spots for losers, I guess, of that play-in round or something like that.
Yeah. If Texas and Texas A&M had to play one another and they were going to be in anyway, they just didn't win their league. There's a chance for them to get a wild card. Dude, what if you need to take more of that Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine, because it is working wonders.
I need some
for
right
your creativity
now. I took some last night. Alka-Seltzer, I recommend it. You ever take it, Pat? Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Yeah, love it. It works great. Pretty quick.
Yeah. But it knocks you out. I mean, I had like a coma sleep last night. Smitty's calling me this morning, and I'm like, I can't answer the phone. I can't open my eyes hardly. But, I mean, that would kind of resolve the problem there. It would respect the regular season with the champion advancing.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the money these would be home and home things. Think of the money you can make. Okay, everybody wants to make money. Think of the money you can make. There's no more wear and tear on your pitchers because you're going to wear and tear on them in the league tournament.
Sure.
I think it'd be kind of neat, to be honest with you. Maybe I have to run it. I'll have to run that by some baseball powers that be if I can find him to still talk to me.
Well, Matt Hogue, the athletics director at Coastal, he is on the college baseball Division I baseball committee.
You're going to
So
be
maybe we
at
can run
East
that past
Carolina. You're going to be at
him.
East. You can claim it as your own. Tell him it's a sports talk idea. He'll know it came from me. And but run it by
Yes,
him.
because
Run it
he
by
knows
him.
I'm not that smart.
No,
I
you
think
could have
it's
thought of
great.
that. You could have thought of that.
So
But,
so the NCAA tournament, so it's 64 teams like basketball used to be. You have 31 automatic bids, and then you have 33 at large. So I'm loving this idea as well. Now, would you go of those 31 at large? I'm sorry, 31 automatic bids for any conference where, say, the regular season champ did not then win the tournament. They would be a part of it specifically.
there would be no league tournament.
Just no league tournament.
No,
at
you
all.
couldn't have a league tournament. You'd have to forget league tournaments. And really, would we miss baseball league tournaments? Because baseball is not a tournament sport, right? It's not like basketball where you run one team after another after another. It's really not. But it is a 2 out of 3 sport. It is a weekend 2 out of 3 type of sport. I like it. Who can I call about
genius. I think it's absolutely genius. And also as a qualifier, if you're below 500, you can't play.
Oh, okay. There you go. I'll be right back.
Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear overnight with a low of 69. Tomorrow, it'll be mostly sunny skies with rising humidity at a high topping out at 96. Even warmer on Thursday with 97 the high. We get a 30% chance of showers on Friday before we cool off a bit for the weekend with highs in the upper 80s. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Attention pizza lovers. The Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers in Columbia and Lexington have officially been named
the best pizza places in the universe.
Maybe it's the out-of-this-world ambiance, or the universally appealing hand-tossed spring water dough pizza, fresh salads and hoagies, or maybe it's the cosmos of craft beer. Either way, Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington are officially
the best pizza places in the universe.
Official Best Pizza in the Universe designation from an official-looking guy who tried our pizza and said that.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I don't eat enough fruits and vegetables. I know I don't. I mean, I try, but how much can you really shove in your face during the day? So the best solution for me was Balance of Nature, which I really feel better with it. So, I mean, ever since I got the first bottle of it, I take my 3 of each, every day. I have a lot more energy than I had in a long time because of the Balance of Nature. I feel a lot more peppy, and I have a little more endurance. I feel a lot better. I do.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code BALANCE.
When it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories, some things are changing. Well, fortunately, some things haven't changed a bit. I'm talking all about Shooter's Choice in West Columbia. What has never and will never change is the customer service. Top notch with the staff that has decades of experience in the firearms industry. This staff actually hunts and shoots regularly. For over 30 years, Shooter's Choice has never lost that hometown feel and never felt like shopping at some big box store. What has changed? Well, technology. If you'd rather spend your money on firearms than gas, go online to shooterschoicesc.com and check out a great website that's easy to navigate 24/7. Be the first to get items as they are received at the store. Be the first to get that newest production model ordered before it even enters the retail store. Come pick it up at your convenience. Sign up for notifications of new products and special inventory. It's all at shooterschoicesc.com. So come on in and see the team at Shooter's Choice, 944 Sunset Boulevard, or visit online. Either way, you'll see what I'm talking about. Make your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
In South Carolina, elections are right around the corner, and this year it's more important than ever to know when, where, and how to vote. Because now, South Carolinians can vote early in the primary from May 31st to June 10th. AARP South Carolina has your back with up-to-date election information, like how to register, where to vote, and key voting deadlines. Visit aarp.org/scvotes and make your voice heard. That's aarp.org/scvotes. Paid for by AARP.
Honey, did you see the gas prices as you drove home from work today?
I did. They are getting ridiculous.
Good thing for us, we don't have to go anywhere to get our medicine.
That's right. Ever since we switched to True Pharmacy, they have delivered all of our medicine for free.
Not only that, every time we buy anything at True Pharmacy, including our prescriptions, we get loyalty points.
Aren't those great? We get to use our loyalty points to buy other over-the-counter items.
Yes, this month I used them for our multivitamins.
I sure am glad we switched to True Pharmacy. True Pharmacy, 2 locations to serve you, West Columbia and Columbia on Divine.
A well-regulated humidor being necessary to the preservation of a cigar, the right of the people to keep and enjoy cigars shall not be infringed. For those who love a great cigar and want to spend time with others who are like-minded, the Cigar Militia offers the experience you're looking for. We're located in the Colonial Village next to the Melting Pot. The Cigar Militia offers exceptional cigars from around the world, staff to assist you in your selections, private cigar lockers, and a lounge where members can relax and enjoy.
Every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on The Point, join me, Chad Jordan, and my co-host Larry Jordan for the Palmetto Real Estate Pros. We'll help you out whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just learn all things real estate every Friday right here at 100.7 The Point.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
All right, time to talk a little NASCAR here on Sports Talk with the president of Darlington Raceway, Kerry Tharp, joining us here the night after Memorial Day weekend. KT, great to have you with us. I know it was a busy weekend. You were in Charlotte for the 600. I tell you, 619 plus miles, but I was loving it. They could have gone 700 miles and I'd have been happy. Thought that was a terrific race.
You, Phil, it was quite an event. I went up there and stayed for the afternoon. Got to be front stage to Leonard Skinner. I tell you what, those guys can still bring it. I don't know how many of them are still with the original band, but then they had a great pre-race, celebration and recognition of the military and fallen soldiers, and then the race itself. I stayed about 40 laps in. Got in my car. I drove to Darlington County, and I got to see plenty of the action. Listened to it on the airwaves driving back, and then, golly, I saw a good 2.5 hours, on TV when I got back to Darlington. But I thought, all in all, it was a good race. Like you said, a long race, survival of the fittest. But as far as Coca-Cola 600s go, I can't remember one that I enjoyed more than this one, to be honest with you. It was a good race.
Oh, yes, it was. Let's see. Some of the numbers, 619 and a half miles, 413 laps, 5 hours, 13 minutes, and 8 seconds. They only went 118 miles an hour, 118.7 for average speed. Close margin of victory, of course. Had plenty of lead changes, lots of wrecking. Had pretty much everything that you wanted. 18 caution flags for 90 laps under caution, maybe too many laps under caution. But when you're running 413 laps, maybe 90 is not a whole lot. But there was a lot to like, especially the way things ended up with the wrecking and the race to the front and the lead changes. A lot of drama there over the last, hour or so of the race.
There really was, and really, Denny Hamlin even attested to this after the race. He didn't have the best race car. Now, I do know he sat on the pole, and I get that. He had a fast car, and he led some laps early on, but then he kind of disappeared for a while. And I mean, you saw some of these other cars running extremely well. Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez had a great run, I thought, for the most part. And Kyle Larson, you know, he did about everything wrong that you could do. And then he was contending for the win there at the end. And you know, the move that Austin Dillon made on that last restart, I mean, he got shot out of a cannon and just wasn't able to hang on there. They got a little 4 wide there, and that just wasn't going to work. But yeah, I thought that it was you know, a lot of drama. They were racing all over the track. You know, the tires were a factor. Certainly, there was a lot of blown tires, and the barrel roll that Chris Butcher did. I've never seen that at Charlotte. I've seen it at Talladega and Daytona several times, but I've never seen a barrel roll like that at Charlotte. And you know, they got him out, and you know, he was fine and everything. But I can imagine that those 5 or 6 minutes that he was upside down probably seemed like an hour to him.
Oh, I imagine. Really enjoyed the racing up front. I think it was when Kyle Larson had the race, and maybe it was Busch that was pushing him for the lead. And just the way that I think it was Busch was trying to dive low underneath, and Larson was holding the outside line, and you just said, okay, here he goes. He's going to get him. He couldn't complete the pass. And I mean, that's what you had there over the last part of the race that really, you know, drew me into it and made for a memorable event. What about the entire day in the United States? You had 300,000 plus at Indy, over 100,000 at Charlotte. A sign that motorsports in this country is back, and motorsports in this country is still strong, and the interest in motorsports racing is still high in this country?
Oh, I think so, and particularly coming out of the pandemic, I think motorsports is stayed strong in all curriculums. Obviously, F1 is extremely popular right now. I watched some of that over in Monaco. The Indy 500 crowd they had is just off the chart. I talked to some people that were actually up there, and they just said they hadn't seen a crowd like that in years. And I thought the crowd at Charlotte was great. You know, it was they announced it as a sellout, and I could attest it was packed. Driving in there, coming off 485, there was traffic. And the last 4 or 5 years, it wasn't like that. And the midway was hopping. You know, like I said, all the pre-race was extraordinary that they do at Charlotte. They play, you know, Amazing Grace. They play taps. It's just a really, really cool event. They do the moment of silence, I think, after the second or third stage. And but yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Phil. I think motorsports in this country is making a comeback. And you know, there was a time when both NASCAR and IndyCar were kind of, you know, on a downward trend, and I experienced some of that. I can remember the first time I ever went to the Brickyard in 2006. I'd never seen so many people in my life. Probably upwards of 200,000 people at that event. And then we had a tire debacle, I think, in 2008. And, you know, people just quit coming back. And then the racing there at the Brickyard for the NASCAR, you know, just wasn't what everybody wanted it to be. And I think IndyCar kind of fell off some as well. And now that you have both of those top series in the United States flourishing, I just think it makes good. It's good for everybody. It's good for us when IndyCar runs well. I think it's good for IndyCar when NASCAR runs well. So, you know, I think it was a great day all the way around.
Darlington Raceway President Kerry Tharp with us for his Tuesday visit here on Sports Talk, looking back at the Coke 600 and the run in St. Louis for the first time this coming weekend. Get KT's take on that in a moment. 31 lead changes amongst 13 different drivers, KT, and Phil was talking about the bumper cars they played with 18 caution flags. So should we read too much into this? Is the next-gen car good for Charlotte Motor Speedway because of the 31 lead changes, or is it bad because of the amount of caution flags it brought out?
No, Chris, that's a great question, but I think the next-gen car is good at Charlotte. To be honest with you, what have we had now, about 13, maybe 14 regular season races? And I think there's only been a couple where I would say, you know, it wasn't a fantastic race. And certainly I thought our race at Darlington was the best one we've had in 4 or 5 years. This was the best Coca-Cola 600 I've seen in quite some time. So I think the next gen at Charlotte matched up very, very well. And so, I think right now, if I had to give the next gen car a grade, I would give it, either a solid B plus or an A minus. I think it's been extraordinary. You can give it great racing. I'd say at 95% of the races that we've had this year. And it's taken some places that haven't been so good over the years and made them really, really good. I mean, let's face it, the racing of Charlotte, it kind of waned a little bit. And that's why, one reason why they went to the Roval, because the fall race just wasn't that compelling. And so, but I think that had to be a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of momentum coming out of Sunday night's race at Charlotte. Bodes well for the future, I think.
All right, so give us an idea, if you have one, as to what we should expect this weekend as they go and run at the Worldwide Technology Raceway for the first time.
Well, that's one track on the circuit that I had never been to. It used to be called Gateway, and it never did run a Cup race during my time at NASCAR. I've been to all the Cup tracks, but everything I hear about it, it's a pretty cool place. I mean, it's kind of almost downtown St. Louis, if I'm not mistaken. It's not too far from the ballpark. You can see the arch from there. I know the president over there, Curtis Francois, and he's done a great job promoting. I think they're going to have a big crowd. I heard they're probably going to sell it out. And I don't really know what kind of, it's going to be interesting because a lot of these Cup guys have never raced there before. Typically in the years past, I think they ran the trucks and Xfinity there. So I guess this is the first time for a Cup race, at least I think it is. I don't know a whole lot about the track, but I got to believe though that it's going to be an interesting show. I heard people think. Listen. I think Michael Walker today described it as kind of a cross between maybe a Phoenix and a Darlington. I'm not sure the length of it. I think it's a little over a mile, maybe. He said, but from the air, it kind of looks like Darlington. So if it looks like Darlington, then hopefully it'll race like Darlington. It'll be a good race and put on a great race for the fans. So I'll be interested to see what goes on out there. But I think it's NASCAR's way of introducing a new market to the Cup Series, and I think that's a pretty bold move on their part.
KT, before we let you go, I know tickets are on sale for the Labor Day Southern 500, which, blink of an eye, it's going to be here, because we're hitting June. You got June, July, and then really the countdown in August. So people they haven't gotten those tickets. Boy, you better get on the phone and get that done.
Yeah, exactly. We're only a little over 93 days out, Phil. That's hard to believe. Until we go back racing again at Darlington. It's going to be hot. It's going to be slick. So I encourage fans to get online at darlingtonraceway.com. Or call 866-459-7223. We've got some special things planned. We're going to invite back some former Southern 500 winners to come and be a part of the weekend. It's a lot of excitement building around the opening race of the Cup Series playoffs. And of course, we got the Xfinity Series race with Sport Clips on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be 2 really, really good days of racing, and I encourage our fans to come on out. I'm hearing that our infield camping is close to being sold out.
Wow!
So if you want to camp in the infield, if you haven't already got a spot, you better call tonight or get online tonight, because I think they're filling up pretty quick.
60-degree weather, KT. You got it for us a couple of weeks ago. We need it in Labor Day.
I don't see that happening, Chris. I was telling some people the other day. I said, I don't even think it got out of the 50s that day, Chris. I mean, I had a jacket on most of the day. It was crazy.
Awesome.
But I would say that, come September when we're at Darlington, I would say that you can turn that 6 over to a 9 and maybe be 90-degree weather.
I agree.
KT, as always, we appreciate it, my friend. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right,
Appreciate
Kerry
you,
Tharp, El Presidente of Darlington Raceway, with us here on Sports Talk. All right, we got to come back and give you the recruiting report. For those of you who weren't with us last night, we were here last night. Where were you? We'll give you some of the notes from last night and some fresh notes from today. How about that? And update some other notes of the day as well. We'll continue after the break.
I learned that people are just looking for somebody to listen to them. You can't just start cutting somebody's hair and you're going to be quiet the whole time because you're not going to be in business long.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has provided over $800 million to help students attend technical colleges across our state, investing in a new generation of entrepreneurs, just like James. Your passion is our purpose.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Show your team pride wherever you go with Founders Federal Credit Union's collegiate debit cards. Get your University of South Carolina and Clemson University debit cards at any Founders office or by calling 1-800-845-1614. Plus, our debit cards are digital wallet ready, so you can pay however you please. Not a member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. futurescholar.com.
I think my problem with this head coach is I don't eat enough at Seawell's, because not only is Seawell's luncheon buffet delicious, it's good for you. A lot of green vegetables, maybe some yellow vegetables. What's good for fighting colds? Green, yellow, red.
Fruit.
Fruit. They have fruit. It's fruity.
Yep.
They have fruit. Maybe less banana pudding and more fruit in my future at Seawell's.
Well, why don't you do this? You want to take a couple of minutes off since you've posted the recruiting report? I can at least read it.
No, sir.
Not with the fervor.
No, sir. No, sir.
You're going to step up and
I'm playing hurt.
through.
I'm playing hurt.
I like it.
I mean, did you see Marcus Smart come back in from the locker room on one leg? Did you see Jason Tatum with the stinger come back
Willis Reed us
from the locker room with his arm in a sling, come back out? If they can play hurt, the corn can play hurt. Anyway, Seawell's, the daily luncheon buffet, it's not only good, it's healthy for you if you eat the right stuff. So I've got to go over there and eat the right stuff. You should get over there and eat everything that's in front of you. It's only $13 for a full plate. A delicious plate of food every day, Monday through Friday, 11 till 2. And don't forget about the very best in the catering business. That, too, is Seawell's. The Seawell's family and staff can handle all your planning and catering needs at their facility on Rosewood Drive, or they will come to you. SeawellsCateringSC.com for the menu options, or call them at 803-771-7385. So, first of all, a few of the highlights from yesterday's report. For those of you who weren't with us, shame on you. Should never miss. But, of course, over the weekend, the Gamecocks got a commitment from offensive lineman Trovon Ball, 6'4", 315 from Atlanta. I think that's a really big pickup for them. And the brother of USC 22 signee, wide receiver Landon Sampson, plans to join him at USC in January. His brother is Gavin Sampson, 6'2", 190. He, too, was a standout receiver in high school. In Fort Worth, 25 catches, 516 yards, 7 touchdowns. He went for a year to a small college in Arkansas, Harding University, and then he joined the military. And he has been in the military since then, but he is on schedule to get out of the military in November. This has all been confirmed by his father. He's scheduled to get out of the military in November if all goes well, and he plans to enroll at USC in January. He'll walk on with the Gamecocks, and He's a good all-around athlete, so he could play receiver or some other position. But look for Gavin Sampson to be in the mix with the Gamecocks in 23. Of course, you got official visits. Big this weekend at Clemson. Not going to go over the entire list again, but they've got a major group of major players coming in for their official visits this weekend. And USC will have their first major weekend next weekend. Defensive end Nicholas Harbor of Washington has USC in his top 7, along with Michigan, Southern Cal, Miami, Maryland, Georgia, and LSU. You know who his father works for?
Have no clue. Nick Saban.
No, more powerful than that.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think
NASA
there was anyone.
works for NASA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. I read an interview and he mentioned that he worked for NASA. Let's see. Defensive tackle Elijah Davis of Wagner Sally in East Mississippi Junior College made an unofficial to Tennessee over the weekend. And he also visited USC, according to Hale McGranahan, the Big Spur. Remember, he told you, he had told us when he was home after school let out, he was home in Wagner, and he was going to try and make a visit to South Carolina before going back to the junior college. Well, he must have done that like around the 21st of May. He made a visit to USC. So the Gamecocks remain involved. Wide receiver Carmelo Taylor will make a camp stop at USC June 20th. Also plans to camp at Liberty, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Penn State, and West Virginia. Clemson and USC target linebacker Grayson Howard, and Clemson target defensive tackle Jamal Jarrett will take officials to Georgia June 10th. 2024 defensive tackle Heaven Brown Schuler of Atlanta was offered by Florida. USC and Clemson target. Clemson offered 2024 quarterback DJ Lagway of Willis, Texas. 2025 quarterback Antoine Hill, 6'5", 210 of Warner Robins, Georgia, plans to camp at Clemson tomorrow. Buford wide receiver Jamari Huff plans to be at North Carolina June 18th. Basketball 6'3" point guard Adam Silas of Edison, New Jersey, signed with Wofford. Now to some notes from today. USC's in the hunt for major talent. Defensive tackle Kelby Collins, 6'5", 280 of Gardendale, Alabama. I would term him a definite tier 1 prospect based on his offers. His final list is Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Oklahoma, and South Carolina. So that's pretty heady company. And he said South Carolina has a great shot with him. He really likes Jimmy Lindsey, who's been recruiting him along with Shane Beamer. Been talking to him quite a bit and going to have him in for an official visit and all that. So Gamecocks have a shot. He's going to Florida this weekend and Georgia June 24th. And he is going to visit South Carolina on June the 10th. And he did grow up an Alabama fan. He said, there's some pressure to stay in state, but he'll make a decision on his own, and he'll make that decision when he's ready to make it. 109 tackles and 17 sacks last season. USC offered 2024 receiver Josiah Brown of Hicksville, New York. What famous sports celebrity from our state is from Hicksville, New York?
Wait a minute. From our state or in our state?
Well, he played college ball in our state, but he's from Hicksville, New York. That's where he grew up. Think on that. I'll get back to it. Wide receiver Dadrian Zipperer, who was offered by USC, plans to take an unofficial visit to USC Saturday for camp. Jamie Shaw, the basketball guru, reported that UT Chattanooga transfer Malachi Smith will not follow his former coach Lamont Paris to USC and will be going somewhere else. And Jamie also reported that based on what he's learned from being around the players at that AAU event up in wherever it was, I think up in Indianapolis, that G.G. Jackson from Ridgeview, what he wrote was, based on what he knows, he does not expect Jackson to play high school ball in 23. He expects him to reclassify for the 22 class and go to North Carolina, or go ahead and sign with a pro team. I guess the G League Ignite would be the most logical one. The answer to the trivia question, Tom Riker, was from Hicksville, New York.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Don't you remember Bob Fulton used to always say, the 6'10" junior forward from Hicksville, New York, Tom Riker.
I'm old, but you're really starting to date me there.
Yeah.
If I remember
that
far.
quite clearly, Hicksville, New York. When he said Hicksville, I thought he was from South Carolina because, I mean, where else would you find Hicksville? But there's a Hicksville, New York, believe it or not. But that's recruiting. We got about a minute. You want to hit some of the high points from the SEC meetings today?
Oh, yeah. The one that I thought was rather interesting, something I thought made perfect sense, but Ross Dellinger reporting that pods, that scheduling format has been eliminated from the discussion for a while. Most field divisions are out as well. ADs seem split on two future scheduling models. One's an 8-game with one permanent team and then 7 rotating opponents. Also a 9-game schedule, which would have 3 permanent and 6 rotating on the schedule. My guess is, does the SEC really want to go to 9 conference games, Phil? They've been holding that off forever. I can't imagine they'll ultimately go 9. There's no reason for it, I don't think.
Well, from what I've read, the power teams are okay with it. The weaker teams are not because they want that extra game to be able to schedule a W to help them qualify for a bowl. So go figure. Anything else significant? Did Jimbo and Nick play nice with one another?
According to Lane Kiffin, evidently people talk a lot nicer to one another when they're in the same room together.
Yeah, I would say so. Hey, thanks to our guests tonight. They were fabulous. Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Chris, and thank you, everybody, for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button.